There's a normal roll and there's an inverted roll. So an inverted roll, if you look at this with like inverted diddles, it sounds the exact same as a normal diddle, except instead of going right, right, left, you go right, left, left. And you might be like, well, that's a putida. Well, no, technically not, because you put them together. So right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right. So it ends with a double. It's weird, but it's a really good way to work on that second note placement, so that way you don't have rolls that sound like... Whether you're playing the normal version of like triplet diddle or the inverted version, they're both helpful for you, and I got play-alongs for both. You'll notice that when I am playing, I am using a very open technique. You notice there's all this space in here. So this is very intentional. I'm trying to make it so that I can actually have the stick vibrate when I'm playing, and I'm not overly squeezing onto the stick and holding it like this. This type of a fulcrum is called a triangle fulcrum. So it's the first two walking fingers, and then your thumb kind of goes about like a third of the way up. Okay, so this is very different than a fulcrum where you are holding and you're kind of pinching right here, and then using your fingers for the rest of this. It is all about the wrist moving and being able to make it so that I can play with a nice relaxed wrist motion. And the fingers are just kind of there for support, and then occasionally providing some extra oomph whenever we're going for some extra speed and whatnot. If you notice a mistake while you're playing or some of your students are playing, one of the things that I recommend doing is encouraging more micro mistakes in order to improve the macro mistake that they are making. For instance, if they're having issues with like spacing on their diddle, encourage them to take the two notes and experiment with moving it to slurred open and to closed off or to rushed, and then find that happy medium point. So give the few reps to say, hey, I want you to make some micro adjustments, and it might sound worse while we're doing this. Experiment with how your hands feel, etc. And then we'll come back and we'll try performance. This is also great when you're practicing on your own as well. Just like make some micro adjustments to figure out things that you need to change in your technique when you're playing in order to refine things. You should be making these adjustments throughout your practice sessions, but then obviously when you perform, you want to try and be as consistent as possible with it. All right, so why am I doing that? Back when I used to march snare, we would kind of get bored with like some of the exercises we were playing, so we'd shift things across the different partials. So like one of us would start on the first partial, another person would start on the second, third, fourth, like all the way through like 8 partials or whatever, or on a different beat like I was doing. So we're starting on beat 1, 2, 3, and beat 4 on that very last rep. So it's a fun little exercise or challenge that you can do with any exercise with your drum lines that you're working on. When doing 3s and 4s, like right, left, 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 or right, 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 right. In the stick control exercise, should it all be stroked out and at the same height, or is there a natural decay? If you're playing this on like drum kit or something, it might not matter. You could play like, and it will probably sound better because it's a different context. You're playing as a soloist on this instrument, most likely, unless you're like System of a Down or something. You got multiple percussionists in your ensemble. But when you're doing that, it will make it sound groovier, but you ideally still want to be able to control to make it sound. So first start by making it sound like a robot, and then go into making it sound more musical to match the different contexts, because you'll have the control and you can use your intentionality to change it however you want, rather than just going, well, this is the only way I can play it at my speeds that I'm doing this at. So you notice when I'm making mistakes that I'm like sitting with it for a little bit and just like, I'm gonna rep this like 2 beats or this measure or phrase or whatever, and then going back and doing like a running leap into it, and then doing like a full rep. So the running leap might be, let me start at the beginning of the line or the line before or something like that. It's good to like sit with something and like just refine it and then actually try and work your way into it. 'Cause sometimes the mistake isn't the mistake itself, it's actually what comes right before what you're playing. So it's good to check that. I've been playing drums for well over 25 years. Every single time I'm practicing, I do a stretch and massage routine. So this is it very quickly. So first I start with my palms like this. I move it in, pull it in, go like that. Wow, that's weird. Yeah, I know. You can see this on the full streams that I do on YouTube to like actually slow that down, see what it looks like. Next thing I do is I will stretch the underside of the forearm. You can do this 1 at a time, 2 at a time, etc. And then I will stretch the top side of the forearm doing this. And then I will stretch finger to finger like this. And I'll do each of these for like 20, 30 seconds. And then after I do the stretches, I'll do massage. So I'll massage up and down the forearm, maybe a little bit higher if I'm tired, or up here. Then I'll massage the palm of the hand and the back of the hand, and then the base to tip every one of those fingers. You can see the full stretch routine in every single one of the drum streams that I do on YouTube. Under the home tab, you can find well over 2,000 hours of free drumming content, so check it out there. That's what I do every single time that I practice, and even on days off, just to keep my hands nice and healthy. There's two main things that I can recommend is one, get many different perspectives from many different people, like learn different styles, learn different types of instruments like rudimental, concert, drum kit, etc. They all help you. The chops that I gained on rudimental make it so that my drum kit chops are like way better than most people who only play drum kit, etc. And then the second thing is to reflect and analyze your own playing. So if you do those two things, then you'll be good in the long run. Just keep asking questions like you're doing here. You can stop by on a future stream and be like, hey, I'm having a problem with blah. How might I work on that? And I'll say, here's how you do it. Or I might be like, I don't know. That's a great question. Let's find out together. So I was doing phlegm accents there, and I was buzzing the grace note. Now I had some judges, like for some of the books that I wrote, for some of the drum lines I used to teach, who would like be like, oh, it was really bad attack. It's like, no, it's actually written that way. They just didn't understand it. It's not just a grace note. It's not pickup. It's a buzz grace note. That's okay. That's fine. Judges don't have to understand everything. If I remember correctly, I don't think the people who commented on that were concert percussionists, so they didn't understand. Like, well, you could embellish the note more than just a grace note, you know. If you're playing on bass drum, by the way, your phlegm accents might sound like marching bass drum, especially if you're on like drum 5 or 6. So the lower the drum, the larger the drum that it's going to be, the lower that it's tuned, you're going to have more open flams. And if you play with like a normal, like how you do it on snare, you're going to get this like pop, because the stick, when it hits, it's actually going to push the other stick out. So you're going to get this like boing, like extra little bounce in there. So you got to make it open like that, otherwise you're going to get that pressure from the drum, and it's going to cause your hands to just like kind of rebound off really awkwardly. Overemphasize that release. That's how you're supposed to do it. No, you're not. Don't do that. Just got excited. If you want to play along to that exercise, there's over 1,400 hours of free drumming content at jaredaleary.com/drum.